Hey family, today at 4:30 p.m. Saturday, September 19th, I am giving away a free Slingshot on Instagram. 4:30 p.m. go to my Instagram at Wright NWB and try to win a free Slingshot. I'm gonna let it run for like at least a few days, if not a full week, to give everyone time to enter. Just go like the photo, follow the directions, and win. Enjoy the video.
What's up and welcome to the videos, guys. So first and foremost, I want to say I am a big fan of Louie Simmons, for real, even though West Side training is not a style of training that I use personally. I just love the fact that he was so insanely driven at a passion. I've watched that West Side documentary like 3 or 4 times. Like, my style of training doesn't even relate necessarily to those guys' style of training. But man, just in a world where so many people are just bored with life and live for the weekends, to see someone, even if it seems a little crazy, to see someone know what they want and have a reason to get out of bed every single day like Louie did, and then create something so legendary, whether you hate it, you think it's ridiculous, or you love it and you think it's awesome, regardless, you know about West Side Barbell, and he created that, which is pretty cool. And I do give Louie a lot of credit for revolutionizing a lot of things in powerlifting as well. So that said, he posted something on the West Side Barbell Instagram page the other day, and it was of an interview of him where he's going over tempo reps, basically, very slow negative, slow eccentric reps. And he was essentially saying how it's more of an Olympic lifting thing to do because everything they do is so fast. So they'll practice a lot of slow negatives just to help build up their strength. And he said, other than that, the only reason you really need slow negatives is for building muscle. Here's the clip.
The only people that actually use slow eccentrics are Olympic weightlifters. Basically, they drop down and everything. So the Soviet Union and the Bulgarians would do slow eccentric squats at normally around 15% of the time. And that would be the only reason. The only reason you want to do anything slow eccentrics is to build muscle mass.
Me personally, I think tempo reps have an amazing place in powerlifting, especially with the bench press and the squat. Not so much the deadlifts, unless you're using like a really light variation of a deadlift, RDL, stiff leg, something like that. Normal deadlifts, I actually think, is the one movement where negatives are never necessary, and in fact, they're more dangerous. So I never recommend slow negatives for a deadlift. But for the squat and the bench, I think they are tremendous builders for powerlifting. I've used both for both exercises, and I still to this day use tempo reps in my squats. I have a squat day where I just do all 3-second negatives on the way down on my squat and explode back up, no pause at the bottom. And here's why. The first reason I think they're great is they're amazing for building your movement pattern. Okay, so example, if you're benching, right, and you bench fast and you're realizing that your reps are kind of inconsistent. One rep the bar lands here, another rep the bar might land a little higher by accident. You realize your elbows are kind of flailing every which way, every single rep. Your reps are not feeling consistent and maybe a little weak at times. So what you would do is try a tempo rep where you go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, touch, explode. And some people go as far as to add like a 2-second pause at the bottom as well. But I don't think you need to do that right away. I think starting with a tempo is the best way to start. Start slow. Then you can add in a pause for extra if you want. But here's what happens is if you start going slow like this, you're gonna realize very quickly that if your elbows or any part of your body is in a weak, unoptimal position, you're gonna have a hard time immediately. So if you're someone who benches and you kind of flare out on the way down accidentally, you can do that fast and not even realize it and still get away with it. It might be ugly. You see this all the time. Reps can be really ugly, but you're using so much speed and momentum that you manage to kind of power through it. So it might be like this and squiggly and ugly, but you get it done. But you'll notice if you're doing 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, that's very hard for your muscles to stay resisting that weight that slowly. Weak points are gonna show themselves very quickly in this situation. So if you're out here with wide flared elbows, you're not getting any lat engagement, your triceps aren't nice and tight. As soon as you get to that weak point in your lift, it's gonna start speeding up on you. You're gonna be like 1 Mississippi shit, because that weak point's getting called out, and now you don't have the speed there to help you get past the weak point. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna force you to, okay, I need to keep those elbows in. I need to keep those lats engaged. And then you start lowering it with maybe your elbows are more tucked now. Maybe your elbows are more in front of your hands now. And this is just an example. It doesn't have to be that exact fix, but it could be any fix like that. So now suddenly you find yourself lowering and your elbows are in a much stronger position. You're like, okay, when I keep myself locked in like this, that feels way stronger. Now I can lower this thing nice and slowly. And then you're gonna get into that habit. You're building that neural pathway. You're literally programming that pattern, that positioning into your head as a new habit now. So when you go back to regular reps, you're automatically, after practicing for a while, you're automatically gonna start moving into that stronger position with your regular reps for normal speed. And you're gonna find that suddenly your reps are very consistent and they're very strong. They feel a lot tighter and they move a lot more explosively. So that's the first thing these tempo reps are good for, in my opinion, these slow negatives. They're really good for calling out weak points, weak positions, and forcing you to fix them, forcing you to find your strongest, healthiest position for a movement, and then nail it into your head as a pattern. So when you go back to regular reps, you're firing cleanly. The second huge benefit of slow negatives, in my opinion, for powerlifting is they take away the stretch reflex at the bottom of a rep. They take away that bounce momentum at the bottom of a rep. So like in a squat, you can lower the bar down slow, 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 and like the last third of the rep, you kind of let it sink into the hole nice and fast because it helps you kind of bounce back out of the hole quickly. It's a little bit of momentum. And it's not cheating, that's smart. That's called a stretch reflex, and it's super useful in a squat. But it is momentum helping you get in and out of that hole at the very, very bottom of the rep. So what tempos do is they take that momentum away from you. You're going slow, 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 slow down right into the hole, nice and slow. And you have no speed to create a bounce at the bottom. So now it's all on you to use just pure, raw, brute strength to reverse that direction and blast back out of that hole. It's gonna feel a lot harder now, but that's good because you're building that strength up. You're building that explosion from a dead stop strength. And the same thing goes with the bench as well. You can start dropping the bar really fast and rely on a little bit of a bounce at the bottom to help you start the rep on its way back up. Well, these tempo reps will remove that ability completely. You're going slow, 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 slow. There's no way to bounce at the bottom because of how slow you're going. So you have to come to a complete stop and then use raw, pure strength to blast it back up out of the hole. So you could argue that that's what pause reps are for. You could even argue that pause reps do an even better job at that, and that's fine too. Pause reps are amazing. Pause reps are a huge variation for almost every single lift in powerlifting, and I love them. But I think tempos do a similar thing as far as removing that stretch reflex, removing that bounce goes. And actually, I think combining tempo reps with a pause is the ultimate kick in the ass in a good way. Now, my third and final reason for loving tempo reps, slow negatives, and one that kind of counters that, well, you could just use pause reps argument, is tempo reps add a pre-exhausted state for the concentric of the movement. So in my opinion, slow eccentric reps, slow negatives, help you build up your explosive concentric, the explosive backup portion of the rep, even better. What I mean is when you start lowering a bar, right? You're going 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. You're using so much energy to fight gravity for 3 seconds all the way down. That's hard. That's draining. By the time you get to the bottom of that rep, you're already feeling exhaustion in your muscles. Your muscles are burning, they're shaking. You're using so much more energy than you would if you just let the bar come down with normal speed, right? So you're already exhausted by the time you get to the bottom. Now you have to fight through that exhaustion to still push it back up with explosive power. Because again, you don't even have a bounce now. So now you're getting the lack of bounce like you would with a pause rep, but under pre-exhaustion, which you don't get with a pause rep. So if you can build up strength to where you're explosive on the way back up, even after pre-exhausting yourself with slow, slow negatives, when you go back to a normal rep and lowering the bar with normal speed, your explosion back up is gonna be astronomical. It's gonna go through the charts. This is my opinion on why I actually disagree with Louie's take on negatives not being necessary for powerlifting. And I also wanna throw out there, in Louie's defense, a lot of his guys lift equipped, and a lot of their squats are almost like tempo squats because when you're in a suit, it's very easy to lose balance and topple forward or backward in the suit. There is some technique to squatting in a suit, and because of that, you have to really take your time and sit yourself slowly into the hole, maintaining your position the whole time. So, you know, I'm not an expert on West Side training, and I'm not an expert in equipped training. I really have no place to speak on that, but I'm just throwing it out there that it is a possibility that that dynamic could make a difference for the people he trains. And maybe tempos are not so needed for that style of lifting. That's an assumption, that's a guess. I don't know if that's true. I'm just spitballing, you know, for in his defense. But that's my opinion on why slow negatives are really good. If you have any other questions, strength related, please leave them in the comments below. Support this video and channel by simply giving it a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys.